Hey everyone, it's Deja from CrochetEverAfter.com. Today is the newest motif of the month. It's July 2016 and this is the lily pad motif. So this is made with crocodile stitch. These little petals are all crocodile stitch, so you'll learn how to make those. Very simple, very quick. This is 8 rounds, but it works up like a 4-round project because a lot of these rounds is just getting ready to make these crocodile stitches. So don't be turned off by seeing so many rounds in the pattern. It's very easy, very quick. I call this the lily pad just because when I was making it, I made it first in this pink, two-tone pink, and I was thinking of making like a rose, but as I made it and realized how three-dimensional it was, I said, this looks like a lily pad. So I changed the colors for the video so you could see that and made kind of like this cute three-dimensional lily pad circle. So it's a full circle, so you can use it just like any other circle motif. You could make a whole blanket out of it if you wanted to, whatever you like. I also talk about how you can flatten these out if you want them flat, but it would be even cute if you did a bunch of different circles in different colors. So you could do, you know, pinks and blues and whatever, and make each of these rounds different colors. That'd be really pretty too. Also, I want to show you the difference in yarn. These are both worsted weight, and this is actually a J hook, and this is actually an I hook, but you'll notice that this one is way larger. So whenever you see worsted yarn, I don't usually put gauge on the motifs. I just put the finished size because they're kind of, they're not important for the gauge. It's just scrap yarn and having fun, so I don't put gauge to stress people out. But if this was something that needed to be fitted, you would want to check your gauge because big hook and this yarn should make a bigger motif than this, but because this yarn is a little bit thinner, even though it's a worsted weight, it's much softer, more drapey yarn, the results are smaller than this red heart, thicker, sturdier yarn, which is also important to note when you're making something like a blanket. Do you want something very drapey and soft, or do you want something more sturdy that will hold up to multiple washings? So this should hold up pretty well, but the red heart kind of is known for holding up really well when making blankets and washing, but it's not as soft, so it's kind of a trade-off. Gotta think about that. But that's enough on that. Go grab the pattern, get your hook. So I'm using worsted weight and a 5.5 millimeter US I hook, and we'll get started. Start off with a slip knot on our hook, so just twist down, make a loop, reach through that loop and grab your working yarn attached to your ball and pull that, and then just pull on your tail that's not attached to tighten it down. Slip that on your hook and tighten it down. So we're going to create an open center for our lily pad, so we're going to chain 4 and then we're going to join it with a slip stitch. So we always yarn over from back to front. Turn your hook down to get through your last chain easily and pull through and then push to your shaft. So pull and push, yarn over back to front, turn down, pull, push. So we get 4 of those, then we're going to join with a slip stitch in our first chain. So we just go anywhere in that first chain. It's going to be completely covered by the end of round 1, and then we pull through for our slip stitch. So the hole's not super easy to see, we just have to pull it apart so we can work into it for our first round, and once you start making some stitches in there, you will be able to see the hole much easier. So for round 1, the first thing we're going to do is chain 3, and that's going to count as a double crochet. So we're going to 1, again, yarn over back to front, turn down, pull through, 3 of those. Then we're going to do a double crochet inside that ring. So we yarn over for our double crochet, then pull your chains apart from your beginning round so you can see that center hole, and place your hook right through that center hole. We're working around the entire chain so it slides and fills up. Then we kind of lay over our yarn. This is a yarn over, but it's more like a layover. You're not actually wrapping it around anywhere. It's just laying over the top. You turn your hook to catch it and pull it through. Then we're going to work off 2 loops at a time. So we yarn over again, always in the same direction, pull through, push, yarn over, pull through, and push. So that's going to be our little spokes of our flower. in between each of these little kind of, I don't want to say they're petals, but in between each one we're going to chain 2. So we yarn over, pull through and push, and then do another 2 double crochets. So you'll see our hole open up much more from that double crochet, so it's a lot easier to see. So I'm going to do 2 there. And then we're going to do another chain 2. Another 2 double crochets. So we're creating 6 of these spokes. So 6 of these 2 double crochets. So by the end of the round we'll have 6 of these and 6 chain 2s. So we end with a chain 2 so that we are even all the way around. I'm almost there, so I'll just keep going. Notice that I always kind of keep my loops the same size as my shaft, and that keeps your stitches a little bit more consistent unless you're really good at eyeballing it. Whatever works for you, but if you're having trouble keeping your stitches consistent, notice that I always push it to my shaft after every single step I do, and they are the same size. These loops are the same size as my shaft, so I keep just enough tension on my working yarn to keep them the same size, and then I always push to my shaft when I'm making my stitches. This is why I like this hook, because it kind of stops me. I always push kind of right to where it hits, and then I know I'm ready for my next yarn over. So you can see I'm kind of overlapping that beginning chain 3, but this stuff is all around the chain, so you can just pull these and space these out as you like. But I still need my 2 chains, and then we can join the round. So I'm going to join at the top of my chain 3. So you can see here's the first chain, second chain, and then third chain. So I'm going to go into that chain, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on my hook. Now we have one more round with this color. We're going to slip stitch for the very first stitch because I need to get over to this chain 2 space and I don't want to fasten off. So I'm just going to slip stitch. So this join is coming off of this double crochet. So I'm going to slip stitch this next double crochet. So you can either just go through one loop or both loops, whatever you like. I'm just going to go through this back loop, kind of hide it. And then we're going to start working into these chain 2 spaces. So I'm going to do 3 single crochets here. So we insert our hook all the way around the chain. I call them kind of like floating because they're not attached to a chain or attached to a stitch, so they can kind of move. So we pull through, one more, yarn over, pull through. Then we're going to bridge the gap of the 2 double crochets by making a chain 2. So this is what we're doing for the whole round. We're doing 3 single crochets in our chain 2 space, and then we're going to chain 2 to get over the gap or over the DCs, and then more single crochets. So just keep doing that all the way around. Here's my last single crochet of the round. Then I'm just kind of pretending like nothing happened here where we joined. We're just going to skip right over that with our chain 2, and then we're going to join the round with that first single crochet that we did at the beginning of the round. So one way that you can find that if you're confused with this slip stitch is know that your slip stitch you're skipping even though it looks like a stitch, or you can look at your actual stitches. If you notice from here up, if we kind of close it off, you can see the 3 stitches that are attached to that chain 2 space. So we want to go under the loops of that very first chain. So kind of skip that first one that looks like a stitch and go to the next one because that was our slip stitch. So now we're slip stitching, and we're going to fasten off yellow and move on to our white petals. And I just need some scissors. It's me always looking for my scissors because they always seem to grow legs, but I just cut my yarn and we're ready for the next color. So we are going to join this one in with a standing stitch, one of my favorites, because it doesn't take any kind of extra work. It doesn't leave chain stitches. It looks just like a regular stitch because it is. So the first thing we do is another slip stitch, or slip knot, sorry. Put that on your hook, and then we're going to join our our yarn into any of these chain 2 spaces. Okay, so don't get confused. Don't start working into the chain 2 that you put the single crochets, because these are really flat, so you kind of got to pull them up to see them. We need to work into that chain 2 space. So we're going to do that by doing a single crochet in that spot. So all you do to do a standing single crochet is just pretend like your yarn is already attached to your work and just start single crocheting. So insert your hook through that chain 2 spot, pull up a loop, kind of tighten it down so they come close together, because if you're loose they're going to be real far apart. Bring your tail so that they're real close together, yarn over, hold on to your tail so this loop doesn't start flipping on you, and pull through both loops. And now we've got a single crochet, we've joined our new color, and we have no extra chains or slip stitches. Now we're going to create the loop that our petal is going to attach to, or our crocodile stitch. So we're going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to anchor that back down with another single crochet in that same chain 2 spot. So yarn over, pull through. Now we have where our crocodile stitch will connect to and our loop for the next round. Now we need to get over to our next chain 2 space. So what we're going to do first to get past these 3 single crochets is chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, bridge the gap, go and single crochet in your next chain 2 spot, do another 6 chains, 3, 4, 5, 6, single crochet in there again to lock it down, and then chain 3. So pretty simple. That's all we're doing all the way around. Okay, I made all my loops. Now I just need to make my last chain 3, and then I'm going to join with a slip stitch in that very first single crochet. So you can see if I pull it apart, there's a nice big hole right there that I'm going to insert my hook under to get under both loops, slip stitch and pull through. And now we are ready to finally make some crocodile stitches. So the first thing we're going to do is start working into this loop that's right here. So we are going to do 5 double crochets, a picot, and then 5 double crochets. So picot is a very simple stitch. I will show you after we get through these double crochets. So just yarn over, insert all the way around so that we can make these kind of float. And do 5 of these. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're ready for our picot. So our picot kind of gives a point to our petal. So I'm going to give you 2 options. So I'm going to show you the picot. So for a picot, you're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to slip stitch in that first chain. So we slip stitch that, and then we get this kind of, this kind of little point to the top of our petal. So you'll see how that looks once it's all worked in. If you don't want pointy petals, what you're going to do instead of the picot is you're going to just chain 2 times. And then you're going to do your next double crochet, because we're going to do 5 double crochets down here, and it's going to kind of just barely make a point. It's going to be just kind of rounded with a tiny little point, but I want these to kind of be really pointy. And there's already 1 chain there, so there's 1, 2, 3, because the lily pad petals, you know, usually they're very pointy looking, so I wanted more of a point to it. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to do 5 more double crochets. So you can experiment with both and see which one you like better. Or if you want to make more of a flower looking, then, you know, whatever it may be, you choose. You want the pointy, go with the picot. If you want more rounded, then just do a chain 2. So this is my pointy picot petal here. So it gives it just a little bit more point. And then to kind of anchor our petal, what we're going to do is we're working with the 3 single crochets of round 2. We are ignoring this chain 3 and we're going to slip stitch in the middle. So the second single crochet or the middle single crochet of round 2, I'm going to slip stitch in. So I'm going to go keep this behind, reach through, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop. Okay, and now that's all we're doing. So we're going to do another 5 double crochets in this next loop. That's going to kind of get us over there. So it kind of pulls the petals together in the center with that with that slip stitch. So 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to picot. So 1, 2, 3, insert, pull through, then another 5. Notice I always turn my hook down when I'm going through my stitches. It helps so I don't get caught on my loops. If you get caught all the time, just start turning your hook down right when you pull through. So you see I always kind of do the scooping motion, scoop, turn. And then muscle memory will take over eventually and you won't have to think about it. So I have 5 double crochets now. Then I'm going to go and move this chain 3 out of my way. You'll see 1, 2, 3. I want that second one. I'm going to slip stitch in there. And I'm going to keep doing that all the way around. Okay, I just finished my last petal so you can see them all here. Now I'm going to join with the slip stitch in that very last middle single crochet. So we're just going to slip stitch there, and then we're going to move on to the next round, round 5, and what we're going to do is something you don't usually do when you're working in the round. We're going to turn our work. So we're turning it to the back, and now we are going to create some more loops for more petals in these chain 3 spaces that we had skipped previously. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to single crochet into this chain 3 spot. I'm going to do 2 single crochets actually. So I'm going to do 1 and then another one, and then I'm going to chain 8. So 8 chains to make this petal a little bit bigger than the last one. 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 2 more single crochets in that chain 3 spot. We have to increase everything a little bit each round to make sure we are laying flat. Now to get over to the next chain 3 spot, we're going to chain 5 in between this petal. 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to do the same thing over. So 2 single crochets, chain 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then 2 single crochets. So we're going to keep doing that around, and then we'll meet up at the beginning of the round again. Okay, here's my last chain 5. Now I'm going to join this round with a slip stitch in that very first single crochet that I made. So, oh, I'm in the wrong one, I'm in the second one. Make sure you get in the correct one. Go. Now we're going to turn our work again because we're going to start doing our next set of petals. So you'll see that I am far away from my loop over here. So we're doing our middle slip stitch like we did for this petal over these little slip stitch is here. We're doing that first before we do our loop. So this is going to be a slip stitch into that chain 2 space where we made our loop for the very first petal. So this little guy here, we're going behind the petal in front of our chain 5 and reaching through that chain 2 space. So you can see the chain 2 here, and then we're going to slip stitch that so that we're bridging our gap, and now we can start our petal right here. So for this petal, we're going to double crochet 7 times. So we did 5 here. Now we're going to do 7 on each side with the picot in the middle. So just yarn over, start doing your 7. Then we're going to picot, so chain 3, slip stitch that first chain, then another 7 back down. Keep your loops after your picot. One thing I want to mention, keep this loop right after your picot nice and tight on your shaft, because if it gets real big and you start doing your double crochet, it's going to give a really messy loop over here. You're going to get a big gap. So make sure that when you start doing this first double crochet after your picot, that your loop is nice and tight. You don't have to work into it, so it's not a big deal if it's super tight. My other petal's blocking me here. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then we're going to do another slip stitch like we just did. So behind the petal, in front of the chain 5, through the chain 2 loop. Very confusing if you're just reading the instructions, so this video helps with that. Then we're going to keep doing our double crochets, and we'll meet up back at the end. Okay, just finished the very last petal of the round, and now I'm going to join with a slip stitch in the very first slip stitch that I made. So you can look for your petal, find the legs that are in the middle, and then you can see the stitch right there. So we're going to slip stitch in there, and then we're going to fasten off our white. So we're on to our last 2 rounds in green. So we have our flower now, which is very 3-dimensional, very cool looking, kind of looks like a lily pad flower to me. You can also, if you wanted it to lay completely flat for whatever reason, you can block it. If you're using acrylic yarn, if you steam it, it will kill the yarn. So I have a don't touch the iron to the yarn though, or it will melt it. But if you look at my video on steam blocking, you'll see how it kind of relaxes the yarn and it won't stand up anymore. So it totally just lays it flat. But I like the 3-dimensional. I like it looking kind of like a lily pad. It's really pretty. So now we're going to join in our green. And we're going to do a standing half double crochet this time. So again, we're going to do a slip knot, and just like our standing single crochet, we're just going to start working a half double crochet, and we're going to be working in the chain 5s. So we're going to insert our hook right in there, pull up a loop. Whoop, I'm sorry, this is a half double, so we need to yarn over first. And I got to hold on to my tail, because if I yarn over and pull, I just lose my yarn over. So make sure that you hold on to your tail before you yarn over. Then insert your hook into that chain 5, pull up a loop, and pull through all 3. I'm going to switch to holding on to the tail with this hand so that I can get through with the hook. So I have a half double crochet. Now I'm kind of creating the circle that I'm going to be using for the last round, so I have to do some different height stitches, which is good practice. So then we're going to do another half double crochet. It'll make more sense when we come to the end of the round here what we're going to be doing. Then we're going to do a double crochet, because this is just part of this chain 5 stitch combo. You'll see the full stitch combo on this next chain 5. So I'm doing a double crochet here, and then a treble, so I yarn over twice, and then insert my hook in. Then work off 2 loops at a time. Always work off 2 loops at a time, unless it's a half double. Then you're doing all 3 at once. So pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 more, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Then I am not going to do anything to get from here to here. I am just going to start with my combo. And the combo is a treble crochet, so yarn over twice, insert, work off 2 at a time, then a double crochet, work off 2 at a time, then I'm doing 3 half double crochets. I only did 2 here, but when I get to the end of my round, I'm going to do these beginning stitches that I just did to finish off this area. So I'm going to do a half double, so yarn over, insert, pull through all 3, another one of those, one more, always point your hook down to get through easy, then a double. So I'm going back up now. This is like the end of this first combo I did, a double and then a treble. So this is what I'm doing in each of these chain 5 spaces. I'm doing a treble, a double, 3 half doubles, a double, and a treble. It's like a little mirror. So yarn over twice, treble, work off 2, 2, 2. I think you get the picture of what we're doing here. Just consult the pattern if you need help remembering the order. And we'll meet up over here so we can finish off this combo. Okay, now I'm back to this beginning section, and what I want to do is finish what I've done on these other sections. So I want to do a treble first, so into that same chain 5 spot as the beginning. Then I'm going to do a double, and since I only have 2 half double crochets, I need to do 1 more. So I'm going to do a half double, and then I'm ready to join. So I'm going to slip stitch in the top of that very first half double. So remember, you can just kind of pull it apart if you need to find the hole that you're supposed to slip stitch in. I'm trying to show it to you there. That little guy right there. So slip stitch in there. Now we're ready for our final round. So you can see we're getting a whole little pad going. So I could make this like a true lily pad and kind of do some different high stitches. So if you wanted to make it a little bit more of like kind of the heart shape, you could add some trebles in there near whatever section you want it to be. But I wanted to make this a full circle so that it would be easy to join. So if you wanted to make like a lily pad blanket, scarf, whatever, you would be able to easily join up all the circles. If it's an odd shape, then it might be a little bit more difficult. So you can play around with that. So for this very last round, what we're gonna do is just double crochets. So we're double crocheting all the way around, but because we want this to lay flat still, we need to put a couple of increases in here. So we're gonna do 2 double crochets everywhere where the 3 HDCs are, the 3 half double crochets. That middle half double crochet in every section, we're going to put 2 double crochets. So we joined into the middle half double here. So we're going to start off with a chain 3, and we're going to double crochet in the same stitch. So that's our very first increase. So right in that same hole, I'm going to do a double crochet. Then I'm going to double crochet to the next half double section over here. So every stitch I come to, just do a regular double crochet. Almost there, 2 more stitches. Then, there's my half double. So this is my middle half double of this section. So if you're having trouble looking at your stitches and seeing what they are, because I can see that this is a treble, this is a double, here's a half, 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 double, treble, but you can count your stitches too. So let me come over to this section here since it doesn't have anything in it. So if you look at the top of your stitches here, you're gonna kind of cover everything else and just what you have here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 V's up there that you can count. So we're making the 2 double crochets in the 4th V. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our middle half double, and we put 2 double crochets there. You can also count backwards. So if you've already started stitching and you forgot where to go, count backwards 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can see my next stitch is my middle, so I know to put 2 double crochets in there. So that's what we're going to do all the way around. Just double crochet and put 2 doubles in each of that middle half double crochet. Alright, very last double crochet. Now I'm ready to join and fasten off. So the lily pad is done. You can see, try to get a full shot here. So I like it curling up like this. It's a cute kind of three-dimensional look. You can definitely steam it down if you want it flat. Gives it kind of a different flower look. I just kind of like it like that. So it'd be really cute. I also made one in pinks, so you could see that if you wanted to do maybe like a rose blanket or something, you could do that as well. So you don't have to make it just look like a lily pad. You can make it look like flowers. A bunch of different flowers in a blanket would be really pretty. So if you did different combinations, so you can do up to 3 colors. You could even do double color petals if you want. It's all about how many ends do you want to weave in. So that's up to you, but that is the lily pad motif. If you have any questions, leave them below, and thank you for watching.